Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Maple Grove City Report. I'm Mike Johnson, filling in for Dave Kaiser today from Northwest Community Television. In the next half hour, a look ahead at the Maple Grove Focus magazine, some items in that will be in your mailbox if they aren't already, and the council meeting and what's coming up in Maple Grove. So stay with us. Maple Grove City Report is coming up next. Hello again, everyone, and thanks for joining us for Maple Grove City Report. City Administrator Al Madsen joins us again. Thanks for being here, Al.
Thank you, Mike.
And let's start with the Maple Grove Focus magazine, which is in the mailboxes already, right?
Yes, it's in the mailboxes. It's also online. This is a city newsletter. There's a lot of valuable information in it.
Comes out quarterly, so it's
Quarterly.
just out.
Yes, it's hot off the press. There's a few things in it that I just want to draw attention so that our viewers can pick out. The Mayor's Prayer Breakfast is coming up on May 1st. That's our 10th year for doing that, and it's quite a surprise because I don't know where the time goes, but 10 years, it floats on by. And then the other one is our Town Green. We're celebrating 5 years of the Town Green.
You said that a minute ago. That's hard to believe.
That's the one that really caught me off guard, for sure.
That's been a great place, though, to hold things in the summertime.
It's been outstanding. It has been so widely accepted, yes.
And how busy is that in the summertime?
Very, very busy. The concerts that we have there, we have weddings there. Just a lot of activity there. People will go there they'll walk around the trail. We have meetings in one of our buildings that are there. The library is there, so they can go to the library. After they finish the library, they can walk the trail, or they could sit, in the area by the bandshell, and it's very, very active.
I think a group recently set up even some musical instruments that are there outside all the time for kids to play with.
Yes.
Kind of like a park, a music park.
Yes, that's right, and that was a very, very nice donation by the Rotary Club, Maple Grove Rotary Club. So it's a very neat I guess musical attraction.
Yeah, so it's a park that gets used in a lot of different ways
all
summer long.
It really does, no doubt. A couple other things that our Parks and Trails map is out. And so if anybody would like that, you can get copies at the Government Center, or you can come over to the Community Center, our Park and Rec department there. And people might be surprised as to how many parks we have, how many trails we have, and things like that. So there's a lot of amenities.
Well, that's a great thing to have as summer comes if you're planning to do some biking or get in shape or something
Clearly
like that.
Is. Yep. Absolutely right, yes. One of the other nice things is the spring cleanup events are coming, and that's also in our Focus magazine. Cleanup Day is Saturday, April 26. If you want curbside service, that is April 21. But large items like electronics or refrigerators or things like that, that has to be, electronics we do not take, but other things, larger appliances, have to be taken to the Public Works facility. But other stuff that people probably have had stored in their garage all winter and decided, I've got no use for this anymore, so set it along the side, and that's the April 21st is a Saturday, and I think we'll go from I'm not quite certain the date it's in the Focus magazine, or the time I mean, but I'm thinking probably from 9 in the morning until about 3 in the afternoon.
And do you have to call ahead saying I've got something on my curb, or do people just come and get it on the 21st?
We would like people to call ahead so that we know where to go, but our crews certainly will be roaming around the city, and if they see things that are sitting out on the curbside, as long as, again, it's not electronics, because we can't.
There's other people that will take your electronics.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Sure.
you can take it over to the Hennepin County Recycling Center. So there's information in our newsletter on that. We got the Farmers Market Spring Preview, which is coming up on May 8th, and that'll be from 3 until 7. That's inside the Community Center, and we've got about 25 vendors that will be inside the Community Center for our Farmers Market, and so there's a lot of vendors there. For those interested in purchasing things, there will be food sampling. There will be lots of different activities going on, and so it's kind of a kickoff to our farmers market outside event, which will kick off in June.
So they do a month or so inside, a couple inside events, and then
Just
they
one. We have a
just
spring-
the one in
yeah,
May.
We have
Okay.
a spring preview in May, and then in June we kick off with the outside events, and then that runs till October. So,
That's popular too.
oh my goodness,
That
it
brings the
is.
people.
There was a day last year that we hit almost 3,000 people, and that's from 3 in the afternoon till 7. And that's it. I mean, you're bringing in 3,000 people, and not inside the community center, but this was to the outside. But 3,000 folks coming to our farmers market. It was amazing.
That's a lot of people, and
Oh
I
my
suppose a lot of parking that has to be considered and all that.
Well, there is, but for the most part, we've been able to.
Just
to-
enough, huh?
Yeah, because people will come and maybe not stay there for hours, but they'll come and they'll shop for an hour and they'll leave, and so the turnover is pretty decent. So, but there's a lot of other great information in our residence guide, I should say the city newsletter, and so I encourage people to, when it comes in the mail, and they should have it by now, to read it from front to back. And Yardway site is open, and so there's just a lot of good, valuable information in there. So
And as you mentioned, if you don't have it by now and you have a question or
Should have
something, look it up online,
Yes,
right? And
yes,
the website is,
just go to the City of Maple Grove website. Yes, it's online. So
that should be there. All right. And city council meeting just the other day you had, a fairly quick one, but you have a few items there.
It was a little over an hour, actually an hour and 8 minutes. Most of the time was tied up with a public hearing on street reconstruction. We have, every year we go through the city and we do surveys of residents that live in particular areas. We keep a good idea as to the condition of the streets. The typical lifespan of a street is 25 to 30 years. Some streets it will hit 30, which is good. But you start hitting that 25 to 30 range, and then it really starts to break down. It doesn't do any good to just patch after patch, because that's only a Band-Aid approach. And so we have a couple of different areas in the city that this summer we will start with street reconstruction. We're fortunate that a number of years back, the city council had the vision to set up a street reconstruction program and allocates 50% of that cost as being paid by the city. And then the other 50% is assessed to the homeowner. So the homeowner, like I say, they can either pay their 50% right away if they wish, or it can be assessed and then included into their taxes over a 20-year period of time. But it's a great program. It allows us to keep our streets, current and fresh. And they did my neighborhood about, I'm thinking 6 years ago, and it's a great feeling when you drive down and you see this nice fresh street, and so it works out very, very well.
So, but they go from one, kind of go through the city, 1 or 2 neighborhoods at a time every summer. So you've always got some work going on. But,
Oh, yes.
But you have to do that to really keep up with it.
You really do, no doubt about that. And so, and in some cases, you may have some catch basins that need to be replaced, or you may have some concrete curb and gutter that needs to be replaced. In some cases, you may have a storm pipe that needs to be replaced.
So
or
sometimes
whatever.
you might have to go kind of deep, but most of the time it's just a few inches or maybe a foot or so.
Most of the time, you're dealing just with the street and the base of the street.
Can people still get in and out to their
Oh,
homes?
yes, yeah. There's no blockage of folks getting in. And in some cases, when it comes time for us to lay a new concrete apron at the end of the driveway, which the city pays for, then they'd have to park their cars in front of their house. No ticketing. I mean,
Well, you can't drive across it for a few days while
probably about
while
4 or
it
5
cures.
days.
Right.
Probably about 5 days takes to cure it. So they'd have to park out in the street. The other thing is that for a while, the mailboxes are congregated in one area, and so people have to get used to that. And actually, when that happened in my area, it wasn't a problem at all. And so we make sure that the streets are, the homes are accessible. We also make sure that this is the summertime coming up. There's weddings and there's lots
Graduations,
of
all that, yeah,
graduations, lots of different activities. So we work with the residents to make sure that, you know, we're not disrupting their plans, and so
So
it's
how
a
long
nice
does
program.
it take from start to finish in the neighborhood? Do you know?
Oh, well, if everything goes smoothly, about 6 weeks. So it's not a long project, but we've got a couple of neighborhoods that we are going to do that encompasses fairly large areas. And so the purpose of the public hearings this past Monday night was not to levy the assessments at that meeting, but was to order the project. And so we have a public hearing where people that will be impacted by, you know, street reconstruction in their neighborhood, they can come and express their concerns. We did not have anybody that spoke against it that came to the meeting. All folks that did speak were in favor of it. They had some questions, and again, one question is, I got a wedding coming up. What's that going to happen to me? Can I, you know, if I park out in the street when you're doing this stuff, am I going to get a ticket for parking overnight? And no, that's not going to happen. So it's just the normal questions that people have when you're coming in and you're kind of disrupting their lives a little bit. So
What neighborhoods are involved this year?
the neighborhoods involved are, I should have brought that map with. We have the Island Grove and the Hickory Ridge area, and then we also have Fountain Park West, which is up in the northern part of the city. Again, those streets, some of those streets are 30 years old. There are a few of them that are probably 25, but you just can't get any more life out of it. You know, it just doesn't make any sense to go in and patch, and it'll break up in a few months anyway. So it works out very, very well. And again, as I say, our city council was, they had a good vision to set up a street reconstruction program where the city picks up 50% of the cost. We're one of the few cities that does that in the entire metropolitan area. Some cities, it's entirely 100% assessed to the property owner, but we pick up 50%. And if there's anything that's unusual, in other words, if something, for example, like catch basins or something like that, or if there's a storm sewer that needs to be replaced, we pay for that. That does not be assessed to the city. So their responsibility of assessments is just the street itself. Anything that's out of the ordinary, city pays for that.
And if you only have to do it every 25 or 30 years, it might only happen to you once while you live there.
Right, right.
And 6 weeks, and then you have a nice smooth street.
You're right, absolutely right. And certainly it does help in resale. If you're thinking about selling your home, having a nice, beautiful street is one of the nice attractions. So.
Easier to sell a house that has a new street rather than one that has potholes.
It
Right?
sure is it ever. It sure is. So that was really the big item on the council, was just a public hearing on that and both those projects. And everything went smoothly. As I say, people didn't come to oppose it. They just came with the normal questions that we knew would be. So.
What else is coming up, Al? I know you've got the Board of Review meeting coming up later this month.
April 16 is a Board of Review, and for those that are not familiar with the Board of Review, if someone, when they get their property value notice, if they're not happy with the valuation that's been placed on that, they can then come to the Board of Review, and they can express their concerns about the value. Now, the Board of Review does not deal with taxes, it deals with valuation. So they can either come to the Board of Review and express their concerns about their value, and we encourage them, though, to substantiate why they think their value is too high. Rarely does anybody come in and say their value is too low, unless they're thinking about selling their house.
Right, sure.
But it gives the residents an opportunity to express their concerns maybe about their value. Or they can go right to our assessing department and not go to the Board of Review, and they can, provide the information regarding their valuation and why they think it's too high. A lot of folks will get very, very serious about it. They'll get a lot of comparables, but the turnout at the Board of Review is not overflowing. Typically, there's maybe 20, 25 people that will come. Some of them are the same folks that will come every year. Yeah. But the Board of Review gives the residents a chance to tell the council, because they act as
council members are the board that you're
That's
talking
correct.
to.
That's correct. Gives them a chance to say, okay, my value is too high, and this is why I think it's too high. And we encourage them, though, to do your research. Don't just come in and say, it's too high. So give us some justification as to why you
And
think
can
it's high.
changes be made?
Yes, yes, yes. So if the board review feels that after looking at everything, that when they reconvene 2 weeks later, if they feel that Sam and Susie's house is too high, yes, board review, council has the opportunity to drop that valuation, yes.
Do you know how often that happens?
Oh, not too often. You know, our assessing staff is just great. They have got a tremendous handle on valuations, and so there are some times when it might be adjusted, but I mean that's not a regular basis.
Special circumstances,
right.
that sort of thing.
Absolutely,
probably.
absolutely. So that's coming up April 16, and then the reconvene is 2 weeks later, and that's when the council decides either to keep your value as what it is or reduce it. Or in some cases, it has been increased.
Oh.
Now, if someone is still not happy, they can take their case to Hennepin County, and they can, you know, have the Hennepin County assessor then get involved, and either they get their value lowered, raised, or it stays the same.
So one meeting, the one that's coming up on the 16th, is hearing what people have to say.
Taking the input, and then the last one is making the decision on this is your value.
So you won't get a decision on the 16th if you go, right?
No. It's just to provide the input, and then the next meeting 2 weeks later. So we've got a number of businesses. The former Gander Mountain Space is being divided into 4 different spaces. Dress Barn is taking one of those. The former Borders Book Space is going to be taken by a business called Forever 21. It's a men's and women's clothing, and they're going to take the entire Borders space. And so
That's a sizable space too.
It's 17,000 square feet, yes, so it is pretty good size. World Market they vacated their space
And?
several years ago. They're coming back,
back.
into the same space. And so we're not exactly certain what the date is, but they are coming back. So it's interesting.
They like it better now than they did before? Or?
Evidently, I know that there was an official of the company that did tell me. He says, I'm scratching my head trying to figure out why did we leave in the first place. But you know, it is what it is, and so but they're coming back.
Well, that's good news to have that space filled again.
It is, yeah. Most of our space is going to be taken care of, and you know, little by little, we fill in the open space. A couple of other things. Ed's Collision and Glass on Friday is going to be celebrating their 35 years in Maple Grove, and so we're very happy with that. They've just been a solid business. In fact, they were one of the first businesses I visited when I came to Maple Grove, just to get out and get to know the business community, and so it's a great operation. Just a few other things. Maple Grove Post Office. There will be announcements coming, but they are going to be selling passports because the Hennepin County Service Center no longer provides passports, and so now the Maple Grove Post Office will be providing passports. I don't know the exact date, but there'll be an announcement coming on that, so that'll be very nice. One other thing is the overall valuation of Maple Grove. During the downturn in the economy, so did our valuation went down, but our valuation of the city, of the entire city, has been climbing, and we've now gone from 6.9 billion to 7.6 billion. So the valuation of the city is turning around very, very nicely.
How do you figure that out?
Well, it's
just a matter of adding up all the commercial and residential properties.
Yeah, all the residential stuff, because you got a lot of different types of residential, and then you got apartments, and then you got all kinds of different commercial, lots of retail, lots of office, industrial, and so I let that up to our crack assessing department. So,
but you keep track of it, or somebody keeps track of it, kind of to see what the general health of everything is.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, in a percentage way, you're kind of hoping that you're keeping up, or maybe even leading, the metro area.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that going from 6.9 billion to 7.6 billion is quite a nice increase in the city's valuation, and I think it shows that things are turning around. We've noticed that even with our foreclosure list is taking a nice drop, and so that's another sign that things are turning around. The residential market is getting to be very healthy. Our industrial market, which has never been, really slow. We've always had a pretty good, strong industrial market, but that is really picking up. We now have developers that are going to be putting up spec buildings, putting up an industrial building just on speculation that they'll get the tenants to come in there. Years ago, that would have never happened because the economy was in a tank, and so an industrial developer would have never put up a large, industrial building just based on speculation that I'm going to get business XYZ to come in. They're now putting up spec buildings.
Well, you are getting the businesses, you mentioned it, the businesses coming into places that have been vacated.
Yes.
I think Gander Mountain was empty for 2-3 years?
About 2 years, I think.
2
yes.
years,
It looks
okay.
a little different now when they took the mountain off
mountains are
the
down.
front. Yeah, it really took a little bit different appearance because you're so used to seeing
But that's
the-
got to help. That's got to help all of that total value.
Oh,
that valuation.
without a doubt. There's
Yeah.
just no doubt about that. Absolutely right. So one other thing is, quickly, we took a look at 34 cities around the metropolitan area as far as the water, wastewater, and stormwater utility rates. And Maple Grove has the lowest utility rates. It's based on a per quarter estimated use of 15,000 gallons. And so we've got a very low rate. Some people may say, well, wait a minute, every time I see my bill, it's a high rate. Well, compared to 33 other cities, it's very, very
And why
nice.
is that? How can you keep it like that?
Well, I think part of that is the success of our water treatment plant. I think the part of it is the success just of our overall utility operations, success of our water system in and of itself. I think it's just a lot of it has to do with the long-range planning that previous city councils had and current city councils had, is that they laid out a plan and we've been following that plan. So, so that's it. It was a quiet meeting. Again, we did the public hearings. We will be doing hydrant flushing. Springtime is here, we think, and so we'll start flushing hydrants.
Not only
And then
that,
also
you'll watch out for the street sweepers will be out there.
Yes, we'll be doing street sweeping. Some of them might be out already. We only have one street sweeper machine. They're costly to buy and they're costly to maintain. They tend to break down. And so we contract out with a company. And so they will see street cleaners floating around the community. This time of year, there is so much debris that it takes. We do it more than once.
It's amazing what winter leaves behind.
Oh my
when it
gosh,
leaves.
is it ever? When the snow leaves and you see all of this stuff, and so it takes us more than just one swing of the city to keep things. We'll probably do some areas maybe 3 times. Otherwise, we'll be out typically 3-4 times.
But it's also for the health of the waterways. I mean, you have
Oh,
so
yes.
many nice lakes up there, and
We
you
wanna
don't want that
maintain
salt
those.
from the winter into
Oh,
those
gosh,
lakes.
yes. Yeah, it does
And you had
have
a
an
lot of
impact.
salt out this year, right?
We did. There was no doubt about that. Yeah, this was a tough winter. It hammered our budget, but it also hammered the budget of a lot of metropolitan cities. And so, the next year it could be a very mild winter. So you got that ebb and flow. And now maybe I'm wishful thinking on my part, but I'm hoping it won't be as bad as this winter. But we get through it. We're Minnesotans.
We always seem to survive it.
We
one
do.
way or the
Yes, absolutely. So that's
All right.
it.
Anything else? The upcoming meeting, the next regular city council meeting is April 21st.
April 21, yes, that's the regular meeting, but then again, the April 16 is the board of review for people that are not happy with their values.
Your council members will be busy by
Yeah,
the
they
end
will.
of
They
April.
no doubt about that,
They
yes.
know the way to City Hall pretty well.
For sure, yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Al.
Mike, thank you.
Appreciate it. And for Al Madsen, I'm Mike Johnson, and thanks for joining us again on Maple Grove Report. There is the information on the Maple Grove City Council meeting coming up later this month. And we'll see you next time.